I don't think we are that different in our goals. I think everyone in this room wants to see a native forest thriving, and we have different ideas of how we can get there. I don't think also that there's anyone in this room that doesn't acknowledge there is a risk in the pine stand and understand our need to mitigate that risk. But there's a much bigger risk at the moment, which is climate change, which seems to be so big and in the too hard basket that we are not fully addressing it. And being able to manage our urban forests better is going to be really central to how we cope with a hotter city, with less rain that needs to be cooled. So sectional work, we have been advised, would massively mitigate the damage to the native understory, and 2 companies have been consulted who have said that they are not, that there wouldn't be an approach that they would take. I don't believe that we've explored the options fully, and I put it to community facilities that they have been predetermined in a way that us as the local board are not allowed to be, because the arguments put forward today are exactly the same ones as Gerard Collett put forward in 2006, with exactly the same recommendations. Recommendations that we knew, when I say we, that the council knew would be very, very unpopular with the community, which is why over the years a number of trees have been cut down without even any notice being given either to the local board or to the community itself. Every bit of community engagement has been grudging and has been forced. Engagement with Mana Whenua has been, as far as we can see, mainly tick box. And we also have, thinking about today, we have hundreds of thousands of theatre, not hundreds of thousands, we have hundreds of theatre professionals who are riggers, who are really good at going up to high spaces using innovative techniques. Look at Tricia's shaking her head. But what I'm saying is that there are different ways of solving things, and we haven't considered all of the options. And we've only spoken to 2 companies. I don't think we've explored our options fully. I know that the balance of risk has shifted since Pike River in 2015. I think this was offered an opportunity to get a resource consent to push this one through. But climate change is so much more frightening than that. And I think that we should go back, explore our options, and find another way to get these trees on the ground that don't make such a dramatic difference. Because we really, my final point is we really, really need to take community with us. Because I've gone round to look at trees for community plantings in Newmarket Park, in Totowa Park, and I have just seen dead trees. And I have seen dead shrubs. And if this is business as usual, well, it's not going to work anymore. I was grateful to see the Churchill Park planting examples that go back about 15 years, but there were no more modern, more recent examples sent to me, even though I've been asking for them for a month. And that, I believe, is because there is not enough maintenance being done on replanting projects, and there's not enough community involvement, and there's not enough budget being put towards it. If Western Springs Forest is to be restored, it is going to be on the work and the back of nature itself and the community going in there, planting the trees in the beginning, maintaining them, and possibly watering them as well for the first 2 years. If we do not bring the community with us, who do we expect to do this work? So I would recommend taking a step back, doing a proper tree assessment, seeing where it is possible to do sectional felling so that we can get on with this project in a way that brings the community with us.
Kia ora. Yay.
Are there any other speakers? Well, I've put it, I've undertaken to put the 3 parts. Oh. No. Don't think so.
Is Kerrin talking? Do you want to talk? I was just allowed, after the voting, can one discuss why?
Need to discuss it now.
No, we do the speaking, then we do the voting. So is there anything you want to say, Adriana?
I'll wait for the voting. I think the voting's enough.
Okay.
I am.
You You want to speak?
This is the second time that we've been in this position this month to discuss this topic, and on both occasions I would just like to say that I have been presented with information in terms of new information to make a decision on this. And I know that we have had Ngāti Whātua send us an email saying that they don't oppose the felling of the trees, and I'm also in support of the felling of the trees, but I have to also hear the information that was shared today by Paul Chambers in terms of the way that the trees should be felled, and take that on board. And I understand that you've said that you've contacted 2 organisations to get quotes on that, and I guess my feeling is that if we have people from the community that are also saying that we should be looking at other options, how do we continue to obviously have a full understanding that we've explored those options to the best ability that we can as a local board? It's just been my concern that's been highlighted today. I mean, obviously what's been presented to us, I know that you've mentioned obviously that it's in the resource consent, but at the same time, if we are being presented with new information, we have to hear that information as well and look at how we can explore that further. So that's my view today, and that's what I'd like to share.
Were you asking the staff member to respond or not?
If you want to respond to that, can we do that, or is it just us?
You can ask to respond. You don't ask.
I think you asked me.
Yeah.
Through the chair. Look, I want to be very clear about the sectional felling. 2 companies have been asked to give us indicative pricing around the resource consent methodology. Through the resource consent, multiple experts came in and spoke about what is the correct methodology and the safest methodology to do the removal of these trees. And there was a number of people and experts came in and spoke about it. The risk matrix was done around each one of those options, around helicopter felling, sectional felling, all the options that we've talked about here today. And it was deemed through the expert panel that the resource consent be granted on the basis of the felling that we are doing. So it's not that we've only asked 2 companies to do that. We've asked 2 companies to price the resource consent that we have on the table. But through the resource consent process, industry experts came in and presented evidence on what is the best way to, in the safest way, undertake the methodology, the removal of these trees. I just want to be very clear about that. So 2 companies have been asked to price what the resource consent, and other companies were asked to come in and people gave expert advice around the methodologies on the tree removal. So it's not that 2 companies have been quoted on. They've been asked about the methodology. The consent process took into consideration all of the removal and removal techniques and what the safety was to the people, the residents, community people, contractors, and the fauna. So it has been through a due process on that.
Any other speakers?
There's a lot of microphones on, maybe I'll pick one that's already on. So I just sort of feel like on that sectional felling, maybe we can find another company that will be willing. What it seems like you're saying is maybe there's a company out there that doesn't value the health and safety of its workers and would do sectional felling. You know, like you don't want a dodgy company that would do it because a company that cares about its health and safety says no. And I know that that's not what that they've been asked to quote for the resource consent thing, not the other thing, but just in terms of, I guess, what you two were saying about let's find some dodgy construction company some dodgy felling company that doesn't value the health and safety of its, like that's you're right, that's not what they're saying, that's what the implication.
No.
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 No way.
No.
It's casting a slur on the member.
So just in reply, just on that particular point, Paul Charman was involved in extensive tree felling operations as a company before the passage of the Health and Safety Act. He talked about how dangerous that industry was, that people were killed. I mean, I just mentioned the word Cave Creek. What about the name Helen Kelly? Helen Kelly went and talked to the families of all those fine forestry workers, the widows of those people who were killed by inefficient and inappropriate methods of tree felling in certain situations, such as sectional felling when it was hazardous. As we've been advised, the people from the Western Springs energetically espouse methods of felling that would slow the production of the trees, and this was considered in mediation, approved by the Environment Court in terms of our current attitudes to health and safety and health and safety legislation. Sectional felling is not appropriate for these trees.
That was not a
If
decision.
we don't agree
No.
with this, the benefit of the remaining trees will be a slowly disappearing vista on the horizon. It will not be something that the people of Auckland can walk through and marvel at
Oh,
the next generation. I'm not prepared.
I was at the Environment Court and they never, ever, ever went through the method of sectional felling at the Environment Court. Thank you. There are two people in the room who were at the Environment Court.
Now come to the vote. As we've undertaken, we're taking it in three parts. So we've put sections A, B and C, which set out the context of what we're doing. Moved and seconded, so put A, B and C. All those in favour will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. That's carried
No.
unanimously. Sorry?
Sorry, I didn't realise that we were taking it in three parts. I missed
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry, I've been trying to get that through to you for a couple of days. It's
I
not-
didn't realise. Everybody has this in front of them that says that we will be taking it in three parts.
Good.
The
So,
vote-
take your
Sorry, my
time to-
apologies.
No,
This is
that's
the
okay.
first time I've
Have
seen
a-
this.
Oh, well,
Sorry, you missed it earlier.
Yep. There's a lot going on at the
yeah,
moment.
that's fine. So I'll give you time to
Okay.
read A, B and C and see if you
Oh,
agree
look,
with it.
I'm going to vote
That's
against in
fine.
all cases until
You
I've
know.
had a chance. Sorry,
You know,
that's
that's fine.
unreasonable to table that at the meeting.
Sorry, it was circulated to you yesterday, the proposed resolutions that I'm going to know were emailed to you
I
yesterday.
think the standing orders make it pretty clear that for members of the board to give due consideration to everything being discussed at the meeting, that they will be given 2 working days to assess information. I'm sorry that I haven't got
You've
this
had this
yesterday.
for 3 weeks, the officers.
Is this in
And these
here?
are the resolutions that were circulated on the 25th of February. If you haven't had time to read them in 3 weeks, I'm disappointed.
I am not lazy, thank you. What I can say is that I am well aware of what the resolution says. What I wasn't aware is that we were voting on it in 3 parts.
Yeah.
Could you please clarify for me at what point I was informed of that? Did you say it was yesterday or did you say it was 3 weeks?
Neither of those things. You're quite right.
You said yesterday.
Apparently, although I asked for this information to go to you yesterday, you had it put before you at the start of the cycle. So
Are
I
you saying-
apologise for that.
Okay, could I have that noted in the minutes, please, that the chair has now apologised to me at every one of these meetings that we've had? Right, so you've got my answer, it's no to all 3.
That's fine. That's fine. So that A, B and C has been carried by majority. We now go to D, which I propose to put by division because it's obviously the crucial one. And okay. Oh,
Adriana, could you please unmute so you can be part of the vote? Thank you.
Yep, I'm just reading
okay. So we're on to D, which I think C is the important one to put by division. So So let's approve the removal of the whole stand of pine trees at Western Springs Lakeside Park in accordance with the approved resource consent to implement and mediate settlement by the Environment Court to deliver the Western Springs Bush Restoration Project.
And I'll go around the table in alphabetical order. Member Christie?
No.
Against?
Against.
Member Bonham?
Against.
Member Gunthorp?
For.
Member Leoni? Member Sandilands?
For.
Member Trotman?
Against.
Chair Northey?
For.
The motion is passed 4 against, sorry, the pet lost 4 against and 3 votes to.
Does anyone want to move?
It's lost.
Resolution?
I would like to go back to the drawing board if it's possible, so that we can reassess the restoration of the significant ecological area
It's not possible.
without cancelling the resource consent application and starting from scratch, as well as making sure that that gate is closed, making sure it's safe to everyone in the room.
So, there appears to be, we've put 3 options before us. The first option has been narrowly rejected, and therefore we have 2 other options provided to us to make the majority for option. This is further assessment of large partial implementation of consent. I don't know if there's a majority for that position. Does anyone want to move that?
Sorry, is that for E?
No. There's no point in putting the rest because
Sorry, so I'm so sorry. I was.
D has been voted down, so there's no point in proceeding with the rest which will contingent on D. Yeah, we'll have a break.
Can I just have a break? Because I feel like I just actually
Clear your head.
Yeah,
before I come back and make my. So I know that we've already made the decision, but I just felt like I actually need to take a break.
Yep,
Take a break before another decision.
Yes.
Before that coming back.
Yep, we'll
If
have a
that's
break at this
possible.
stage and we'll see if we can come up with some resolutions that we can get a majority for. So we'll break.